The Director of Homeland Security is mandated to coordinate with local government and local elected officials. We have a sheriff up there that was delighted to hear that. We have some sheriffs in Arizona who were delighted to hear it, because suddenly it gave them the chance to get some of that money that's going to Houston and the big cities. Hope is what this country was founded on, and hope is what we've found over the last 20 years in those statutes. Sometimes I wish I hadn't found it. I might be retired by now, writing my books. The book on my trial career was published last year, called Justice My Ass, which is really my view of the criminal justice system. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you my daughter-in-law would get reported, Sylvia and Craig would report to her if I didn't tell you it's on sale through Amazon. The next book that I'm writing is War on Rural America, because I firmly believe that our government, in conjunction with world governments and world bankers, is at war with rural America. And then after that, I'm going to write Appointed, Not Anointed, and that will be directed toward the federal district judges that have decided that they know more about the law than any of the rest of us. And I have a whole series of books that I could be writing. But in the long run, this is kind of fun. I've told people, when they get into this, they will have fun. Because for the first time, bureaucrats will come to their offices and will look at them like, we can't believe that you hicks know how to deal with us. I used to get great fun when we first started this with the ranchers in Owyhee County, when I was just battling with a stick. I didn't have anything else because we had to create all these strategies. My biggest fun was serving a paper on them at 2:30 on a Friday afternoon. Just a half hour before they started taking their compensatory leave time for the weekend, and know that I had spoiled the weekend for at least a few of the bureaucrats. Yeah, that's right. One of the BLM directors called me one time and he says, "Fred, I'm going on vacation. For Lord's sake, do you have any papers? If you do, file them after I leave." And I said, "Jerry, I wouldn't do that to you," and we filed that afternoon. My time's gone. This is a subject that there are several websites that you can learn about it. If we have your email addresses, there are all kinds of information that we can give you on how you can help force your local government to take advantage of this process for you, and also how you yourselves can take advantage of it as coalitions of citizens, as they're forming in Siskiyou County now, to work shoulder to shoulder, hopefully through those local governments, to get a status that you don't have as individuals. It's too bad that as citizens we don't have the ability to bring the federal agencies to the table with our local government, but our local governments do. And where they will, in 150 instances now, we're bringing them to the table. I've always believed, but I didn't put it into practice until 3 years ago, I've always believed in the Constitution of the United States. You people working on the charter committees, remember how long the Constitution is, and it's survived 200 years. It's not very long. It's very succinct, but it's very tight. The longer you write a document, the more ways that our opponents can find to attack it in court. One of my favorite judges one time said, "You know, Fred, I've found that the less I say, the better the chance I'll get affirmed on appeal. The more I say, the better the chance I'll get reversed." And I've always tried to remember that when I file my briefs. Briefs is a funny term. Only a lawyer could call a legal brief of 70 pages a brief. I'm glad to be here. I got one confession to make, and I guess those of you who have questions will stay here. I have a confession to make that 2-3 years ago, whenever the Tea Party organizations started to form, I said, people would ask me, what do you think of it? And I'd say, not much. It won't last. People will get their 15 seconds on TV and they'll go away. They'll go back to what they were doing. I've seen it so many times in my career. And this time I was wrong. This time you elected 55 new members of the House of Representatives who have taken control of the Congress. Now I hope I'm not wrong, and that in the next election we'll double or triple that number, and we just might have a Congress then that will work with us and can do something without just sitting there. In the meantime, let's hope they continue in gridlock, because it gives us a chance to make advances on them. We can take back America, but we can only do it town by town. You cannot do it in the District of Columbia. You can't do it in Sacramento. It has to be done right here. Whatever town you're in, that's the place. You have to take the country back. And the only thing that makes me happy that I've stayed in this 20-year quest is the fact that my grandchildren might, just might, get to the point where they appreciate the same country that I grew up in. I'm 74. The reason we chose now to set up the foundation, the reason I chose this weekend to say I was going to take on Siskiyou County is that I figure it'll take 10 years to make both of them successful, and I want kind of a guarantee from God that I'll get those 10 years. I was in a wreck, and this is the end. I won't tell any more stories. Last April, I was in a wreck. I have no idea how it happened. I don't remember it. I lost a whole 24 hours. The doctors concluded I was just exhausted. My wife of 52 years died 3 years ago, and I think that I really hadn't gone through depression until then. Couldn't sleep, and I was exhausted. I wasn't breathing when the paramedics got to me. They had to extricate me from the car with one of those jaws of life or death, whichever you call it, I guess depending on what condition you're in when you get out. My daughter-in-law was called, and she was at the hospital when I got there, and the doctor said immediately when she saw me, get the life flight ready. And then she ordered a CAT scan, and when I came out, she was amazed because there was no brain swelling. I have a hard head. The Irish from South Carolina have very hard heads. I hit the windshield and smashed it. No bumps, no marks, no fractures, no evidence of any harm. Then for weeks I went through test after test after test, and the doctors, the neurologist, the psychiatrist, and the medical doctor, and my cardiologist finally decided that I have a heart and a brain. And all that testing confirmed what I thought I had. I told the vice president of the University of Idaho, I said, Stephen, I don't know whether God has a purpose for me or whether he's just not ready yet to judge me. And he says, Fred, with the miserable life you led as an alcoholic for 50 years, I think he's giving you a few more years of a chance to balance those years out. He doesn't have an evaluation form long enough for you yet. So the next 10 will give me that many more to try to balance things out when I finally get there. I congratulate all of you, every member, everybody who can claim that they voted with a Tea Party mind in the last election. And I can tell you that if you put pressure on your local government sufficient to use the coordination process, you will see them start to take America back, and you know what to do if they won't do it. You've already shown that. The ballot is a powerful weapon, and any county supervisor or commissioner who will not use the law as it exists to help you should be retired to the sideline. Thank you very much. Stay there. Thank you.